Hey guys, we're doing another rendition of the throttle position sensor on a Holley. I was trying to use this sensor and have a lever on the throttle shaft run this. Wasn't happy with the results. So this is the same bracket that I had before. And this sensor is off of, I think it might be original to the S10. So a 93 S10 with 4.3 throttle body injection. Problem is, it drives clear different. I needed a shaft about 3/8 with 2 flats on it to come in here and give that a twist. Now I needed it to be driven by the shaft on the carburetor on the throttle. So what's a guy to do? Yeah, we go scrounging in the scrap. You can see there's a faucet, a fixture here. I wanted to use, particularly I wanted to use brass because brass doesn't rust, and 3/8 roughly diameter. So I went in the brass bucket, found this old faucet, and the valve stem, that's brass. This is old enough. This isn't plastic crap and or whatever. So I unscrewed the cap off of it, took the stem out, and what I did was I just cut it off at the threaded portion of the valve. So then I had a shaft. Okay, I got brass shaft. A little file time, put the flats on it. Now, how am I going to connect this into the carburetor? Well, this is what's left of the knob now that I modified it for twisting on the valve. Got the large end off, got the little nub off, fits in there really nice. How do I drive that from the carburetor? This is an existing piece from the choke mechanism in that Holley. And it sits in there with this side to the body of the carburetor. There's a spring in here and some this and that's and doodads, and I'll show you what I left out. I took this, you can see it's got 2 flats in that hole to lock onto the throttle shaft, turned it over, drilled a hole in the back side of this knob, took some material off because there was more than enough. Now that fits like such on top of that little piece of linkage. So it's locked to the position of the shaft. Take a screw. I mean, this piece was originally held on by a screw. I needed a little longer one, found that. Through the center of this old knob, that holds the knob to the lever. The lever goes through that hole, locks that together. This will move with the carburetor shaft. So now I have this attached to the carburetor. That slides right in. Flip that the right way around. That slides into that sensor, and it will float in there, but it's captured because it can't move out either way. So that's what I ended up with. And I did have to leave some things off the carburetor. Here, I'll bring you over there and show you. This is actually the same piece as this with the tube welded on. That was part of my first attempt. But this is a bunch of the choke stuff that I left off. I don't have a manual choke anymore. We're not a wintertime driver probably. Still using the linkage mounting because that's what spaces this guy. See if I can line this up and put this on. 6 tries. It's early. Okay. There we go. Puzzle pieces. That mounts my bracket for the TPS to the carburetor now. So it looks like it's going to work. The computer seems to be compatible with the sensor. I'll show it when it's in position now. Okay, now we got to put this here little piece on. And this is the primary throttle shaft. It's got the flats on it. And my application, I'm putting the larger tab towards the rear. Just fit that up on there. I'm going to drop the screw into this faucet fixture handle. Get that maybe started. Hopefully started. Not cross thread it. There we go. Bring that around. Line that tab with the hole that's in the lever. Screw that on there. Get it snug. Pretty basic stuff. You know, it's screws. Now with the splines on this valve stem, I can clock this a bunch of different ways, which turns out that's really kind of nice. I did actually try this and I haven't marked, so that's where I want it. Now, just for simplicity, I'm not taking all the choke pieces out, so I will have to do something to hold this choke open, because right now it'll flop around. And there's a plate that goes in behind this linkage bracket, another linkage bracket, of course, that has a spring-loaded lever to force the choke closed, and your operating linkage holds it open. Well, I cheated. I just run this little lever around backwards against that spring, popped it loose, so it's just floating in there. I will have to zip tie or something to hold that open, just to be sure. Then again, we've got the linkage bracket and my throttle position sensor bracket. And I still can't remember how that goes on there. I'll put the screws in there. I'm going to take this sensor off for right now. Put this up there, get screw holes lined up. That went better than just trying to put them two pieces together. Another thing with this shaft floating in there, I don't have to be, or I hope I don't have to be exactly centered between the two, which might have been some issues on the last one, but I tried pretty hard to get it centered. Precision machining and eyeball measuring. Snug them up on there. Now it's time for the throttle position sensor. And like I was showing earlier, this is spring loaded inside, and it has to slide on there, and then you bring it around against that spring. It needs to be, at idle, it needs to have some preload on it, essentially. See if I can do this. Actually, it fits pretty good in that bracket. I mean, it stays. So you got to slide it on and then twist it against that spring. And then apply your screws. I could have welded nuts to the back or been neat about it, but nope, not me. This whole build has been a lot of, this is what I got around. Let's make it work. I mean, it's not free, but it's got the potential to be low buck. So get that net back there started, which is kind of awkward, but how often do you have to do this? Come on. Pretty please. There we go. And get them run down. Being so this sensor holds in there pretty good, I'm not going to tighten them. Plug your harness into it. And next thing is going to be get the scanner out to adjust that. And particularly the one thing I'm looking at is wide open throttle on the carburetor is 99 to 100% throttle opening in the computer data. So I'll get that scanner out and we'll take a look. Okay. I'm going to set this where you got a chance of seeing it. And I'm going to let you watch that while I do my fiddling. Okay, you can see here, these are your throttle position sensor. Top's your voltage, bottom's your percentage. So we're at 0.76 volts, 0%. That's okay. But like I said, I'm worried about full throttle. Okay, there it goes to 99. I'm going to back it off a little bit. Yeah, we'll go that way. Okay. There, we're showing 4.5 volts essentially. And I'm going to adjust it and see if I can make that come down to 98. Okay. Now I'm going to turn it the other way and make sure it hits 99. I don't want it to go too much. I don't want there to be too much throttle travel after 99% because that takes it off the bottom at idle. And now down at idle, we're at that 76, so I must have had it pretty close to the first shot, and 0. And a little bit of throttle action brings that right up. So I think the response is pretty good, and I think the computer's going to be happy with it, and I hope it doesn't fail yet again. But here, let's have another look at it together. Well, this is what it looks like in behind. That there is, there's the knob off the faucet. Right there's the shaft, the bracket, the sensor. Woohoo, it works. It clears the intake manifold and that down here. That was a concern. And now my car's flooded, but I think that's going to work. The computer seems to be happy with it at this point. We'll have to go take her for a spin and see how it works. But hey guys, that's junk to something useful. Yeah, you might find a little of that on this channel. It happens. You might just find it. But anyhow, hey, like, comment, subscribe. This is my second attempt. And it might not be my last, but I sure hope so. Hey, give me a comment on this if you would, please. Tell me, yeah, it would have been easier just to spend $200 and buy one from Holley. But all of those that I have seen say it's for an electric choke carb. Now, I didn't want to spend $200 and have to modify the silly thing when I can spend a few dollars and modify what I already have. My mind, that makes sense. But anyhow, hey, have a good day.